In those questions if you had them. Bryan, let's start with you. A simple one, softball. What was your best event in the decathlon?
Best event, you're not allowed to say. It's 10 events, it's one event. The decathlon is one event, so the decathlon was my best event.
See, that's what I was going to say, but they texted that question
No.
And
I was a sprinter jumper, so I did really good at the sprints, really good at the jumps, but if I had to pick one, I still have the world record in the decathlon discus, so which is weird because I'm the smallest guy and I've thrown the farthest in history, so it's kind of weird. So I guess I could say the discus was my best event.
And somebody was desperate to know, and I think we all are. You told us a story about the Olympic qualifiers at the University of Oregon, and you left us kind of a cliffhanger.
I know. We don't have
third
enough
place.
time. I ended up winning the Olympic trials. I went out after that kind of powwow that I had with God, and I said, okay, Lord, I'm just going to give you my best. You're going to have to make it good enough, but if you don't get it fixed by the time I'm done with the high jump, then I'm out. And I went out, I gave everything I had. I ended up jumping a personal best in the high jump, went on to set an Olympic trials record, of course, go to the Olympics, win the Olympic gold medal, and it was great.
Awesome. Tim, this question is for you. Yeah, let's give it up. That's worth a round of applause. Tim, this is directed at you, but any of you feel free to jump in. This says, I struggle with being a disciplined person, and I think a lot of us can relate to that. What did SEAL training teach you about being disciplined in different areas of your life, maybe even nutrition, fitness, budget, etc.?
Well, the military in general, it breaks you down. So boot camp, they shave your head, they take everything you own, they put it in a box, and they send it away. And that's where it begins, right? You have nothing. They give you a uniform. They tell you when to go to the bathroom. They tell you when to eat. They discipline, right? When to wake up. SEAL training just takes it to the next level. They already have an expectation that you've got all that, right? All the basic discipline stuff. What they're pushing is, hey, quit thinking of yourself. Think of somebody else. So what I learned there was, don't go eat before your weapons are clean, before you've taken care of your gear. And if you're the senior guy, you better let your guys eat first. Yeah, I ended up being an officer, and the officers eat last. You make sure your guys are taken care of, they're getting paid, they're happy, all those kind of things. That's what I learned in SEAL training, is to put other people first.
This question is for both of you. As in a sense, both of you were on Team USA in different ways. How did you handle the temptation that came from what we might call different kind of camaraderie with the partying aspect? You talked a little about that temptation. What were some of the things you used from resisting that when you were able to?
Well, I know we were both on Team USA, but I think it was a little different, little different experience. Maybe you guys don't know this, maybe you do, but the Olympic Village is just an animal house. It is absolutely insane. So you've got guys and girls that have been pent up for a very long time, and they've been doing nothing but focusing on training. Nothing else matters. I mean, they're giving up their families. They're giving up everything to try to succeed and make this work. There's zero, much like you, zero room for distraction, right? The second there's a distraction, there's a mistake made. And so these guys go and compete, and when they're done, it's like they want to let it all hang out. They just don't care. Everything, they're just freedom. You can do whatever they want. And so one of the things that they do when you first get to the Olympic Games is they give you like a little bag and goodies and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that's in the bag, which you find out when you're at your first Olympic Games, you pull it out and there's just a roll of condoms. And so you get all these condoms. They're all different colors, and that's what they give you as your gift when you come in, because one of the biggest problems at the Olympic Village is the spread of STDs. It's not something that's talked about, but it's what goes on. And so knowing this and knowing that was the case, I was really lucky. I had some really amazing coaches that had been through it before. And again, I talk a lot about preparation, but it's true. Having guys that had been there, done that were in my life, that could guide me and say, hey, listen, you need to put some stops in your life and recognize this. I was able to make the decisions ahead of time to say I wasn't going to stay in the Olympic Village. And so I did not, at both Olympics, stay in the Olympic Village. I spent $30,000 of my own money to rent a flat so that my coaches and myself could stay out of the Olympic Village. and not have to deal with those pressures. I mean, they were there and the temptations were there, but removing myself from that situation allowed me to not have to have it be a distraction. And so that's kind of how we got through those types of distractions.
Tim, how about you?
Yeah, so we got a little bag of party favors as well, but they're kind of different. They included a shovel to dig a latrine, some iodine tablets so you don't barf when you drink the water, some mosquito repellent, some immunizations so you didn't get sick, all that kind of stuff. When we went over there was no opportunity to have fun. There's discipline. There's no drinking. There's no fraternization. You're locked on, you're working, and you have to stay focused the whole time. If you deviate from that in any way, they send you home. Done. Because it can't be tolerated. When you get back off deployment or you're in between training cycles, there's some time off. That's where guys get in trouble, and it's mostly because of the amount of stress. To have any kind of downtime like that is a luxury. Usually it's a day or two, we pack our bags and we go again. For the single guys, it's difficult. The married guys, you're locked inside the house, you're not going anywhere. Yeah. Different perspective.
I want to just interrupt you here for a second because everything we're talking about here is down to real life right here. And anytime that we're going to live a successful life and we're going to navigate the minefields are never different. The minefields are always the same. It's the lust of the eye, it's the lust of the flesh, it's the pride of life. Those three are never going away. For you guys that are here on the front row, you're on the front line of just being introduced to all these things. And there's other guys out here at every decade of life. And those three things are never going away. And you have to realize if you want to win, you have to prepare to win. And it's always going to cost you. It's never going to be convenient. I preach this many times. I've been mocked for it at times where I talk about how, you got to go the extra mile. If you want to be successful, you got to figure out a way not to just be alone with somebody on a work trip of the opposite sex. You can't take the debate of the flirtatious generation that we're in. Mm-hmm. You can't go down the road of telling yourself that a little porn is no big deal because it corrodes your ability to think and make. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Make a good decision. So tonight, we're talking about living a winning life. We're talking about winning against, in some cases, all odds. To be a Christian man, we can talk about the dropout rate for SEALs. We can talk about the elite being the world's greatest athlete. But if you're going to be the greatest you, if you're going to be the man you're supposed to be, you got to realize it's going to cost you something. You can't play the same game with everybody else and win at a different level. Nobody beats the odds. The rules, some people think the rules don't apply. That's just a facade. Because when you live like the rules don't apply, it catches up with you. Anybody know what I'm saying tonight? So, all right, we better hustle along here.
Okay, how about just one more? We got a lot of people wondering. First of all, how did you, after you overcame the goal, being a Navy SEAL, going to the Olympics, how did you handle coming off of that and kind of following up from that? What are you doing now?
You want to take that one first?
Sure.
Go?
For me, it's really difficult. I struggle with it daily, and I miss it. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the trust, the work ethic. I'm currently working, I see patients, I work in dermatology. I've had a few jobs since I got out and tried different things, but it was always kind of the same. And the thing I miss the most is the people that have your back, right? They're people that you trust, and it's, in the military we call it having your six. And they always did, no matter what. In the teams, we kind of joke around with this, but it's really the truth. You could show up on a guy's doorstep fellow team guy, he'll let you stay there, give you the shirt off his back, because you're part of the brotherhood. And I miss that. And I'm still searching for that, struggling.
Yeah, that's tough to find. For me, it's the hardest thing was similar to yours, but just a little different perspective, right? It was people. I've found that people don't know how to give all of themselves towards a specific goal, right? So when I work with people or I do things with people, I can get very focused on, this is what we're trying to accomplish, this is how we're going to get there, and there's just no excuse. Like, there is no, I can't do it. You find a way to make it work, right? And that's just what you kind of have to live with. You find ways to make it work, and you just don't find that every day. So you work with people and they're like, I don't know, I can't figure it out, it's not going to work. And you're like, takes you 3 days to return an email, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, just let's go, let's get it done. So that was the hardest transition for me. People just don't work at the same speed, and they don't work with the same grit and the same tenacity that I am used to working with. And the other thing that was really hard is, if I wanted to get something done, maybe a little different than a SEAL, it was on me. Like, so if I wanted to be the best, it was on me. If I needed to change something, if I needed to run faster, it was on me. Like, I had to do it. I couldn't rely on anybody else to do it for me. And so that was different, because now in the world that I'm in today, I can't do everything. I have to rely on other people to do stuff for me, and that gets really frustrating. But that was kind of, I think the hardest switch. But I'm settling in pretty good now. It's definitely gotten easier. I think the other thing is, in my world, and this is a big one that I struggle with still to this day, and I think I'll struggle with forever. The way that we operated is, a lot of times you didn't let yourself think about the fact that you did a good job. You always were looking for the littlest thing that you were doing wrong, right? And so it was like every single aspect of my day, I was picking apart all the I never had to have my coach tell me, hey, good job. Like, I never expected it. I didn't want it. I wanted to know what I was doing wrong. And so the struggle for me now as a dad and as a husband is, I spent 20 years of my 38-year life or 39-year life picking out all the little things that I did wrong. Like, I mean, we're talking like a centimeter off on a step, and it's hard to break yourself of that. So I go around the house and through life as a parent and as a husband, and I'm often going, you need to do this, and what about this, and this, and I'm picking all the little things they're doing wrong, and I forget sometimes that they're not like me, and they need to hear, hey, you did a good job. And so that's been a real struggle for me, and something that I try to do better at, but I'm just not perfect at it. So
I want to throw in just one thing. For the younger people, I tell my kids this, that there is no such thing as can't. When they say can't, like, there is no such thing as can't, just an unwillingness to try harder. Know that you can do more than you think you can. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. You'd be amazed. There were guys that would show up for SEAL training, these big, huge guys like you're talking about. You're like, wow, that's huge. They're the first ones to quit.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with your physique and what you look like. It has everything to do with this and your heart, your faith.
We had the same thing out fishing, out on the ocean. You'd have these guys. I remember one guy, a Division I Nebraska football player, and he faked an injury to try and get a helicopter to come take him off. And you're just like, linebacker for Nebraska, and you're thinking, you can't take more than this, and it's here more than it is anywhere else. So, all right, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much. You guys are just
Thanks for having us.
two great champions. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.